Raj is the Vice President, Data Platform Engineering from MUFG Union Bank. Raj has played a critical role in envisioning design, development, delivery of master data management, data integration, conversion, business intelligence, data warehouse solutions over multiple projects for a variety of clients in banking, financial services, healthcare, media, utility industries in his over 15-year career. So we are lucky to have him today. His session is going to be the importance of data security and cybersecurity. So please, everybody, give a warm round of applause as we welcome Raj.
Thank you, everyone. Sorry, let me see how it goes. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I am Raj Arora. I am working on the data space from last 20 years, as Andrew mentioned, and I worked across different industries. I have worked in consulting most of my time, 20 years in consulting, and now I'm working with the US Bank from past 6 years. And when they asked me to present this session, so I thought what would be the good topic for this session? Because I'm an implementer of data from mainframe to the machine learning. So I thought we can talk data security because it's very important topic. Cyber security is, of course, an umbrella, but data security has the most significance on it. So, okay, one sec. So, friends, cybersecurity have significantly risen in recent years, and more people and companies adopt digital technology. And the number of attack vectors increased for the hackers, especially in today's circumstances when you see that we have this geopolitical and situations everywhere. We are using the information war is becoming an important part. And this has led to a surge in cybercrime, even with the impact of COVID recently, what we had. So it has brought this substantial investment as we started working from home. Our endpoints has extended. Cybercrime has increased at a rate of roughly 4 times over the last 5 years alone, a source of significant concern for business and those in the cybersecurity industries. In particular, data breaches are becoming more common, with 75% of the firms in the US reporting they experienced one last year that disrupted their business, 43% of which were small business. So it's not just the big businesses which are impacted, but small businesses as well. So data security, as I mentioned, it's a vital aspect of cybersecurity aimed at protecting digital information from unauthorized access and corruption. So I would like to highlight the importance of data security within the cybersecurity, as it is one of the main motive for the hackers to breach the data. So when we talk about that, these were the top 10 biggest breaches of all the time. whether it is the government or it's the retailers like Target, TJ Maxx, healthcare, Anthem. We have every number of users got impacted in millions and millions. And what they were looking for the information, which is the data. And it may be your personal data, name, addresses, bank details. It may be your social security number. It may be your credit card information. So everything what relates to you is what hackers were looking for. I remember in 2013 when this Target data breach happened, the stock came down from 65 to 45. I was not tracking the stock at that time, but I heard that news. So it can have a severe impact on the financial as well, reputation. So when we go through all these breaches, one thing is common that hackers are after the data, whether it is through your network they access this data or through different mechanism. Now, as we have heard that the breach is happening, that's the main motive for the cybersecurity breaches. And the reason for that is that somebody said in 2012 is the data is the new oil. As we know, in the earlier 19th century, oil changed the face of the industry. It was the main reason for the industrial revolution that happened due to the invention of the oil-powered engine. They were cheap, they were easy to operate, and ready to work anytime and anywhere. Unlike the horse-driven carriages, all this took place by the use of a liquid gold called oil. Oil led to tanks being carried out more efficiently. It was readily available, reduced the efforts, increased the output, saved time and money, and ultimately led to better customer satisfaction. 2 centuries later, folks, we came another such gold, but not in the form of liquid, but information. It was data. Data has transformed the face of the current industries. So as I mentioned earlier that this date, about a decade ago, this data is the new oil was coined by Clive Humbly, the man that built the club card, which we see that the loyalty club's card today in the industry today. He was using the metaphor to explain how data is a resource that is useless if left unrefined. Only once it is mined and analyzed, it does create value, potential values. So I want to dwell a little bit more onto that, the comparison. Data is an essential resource that powers the information economy in much the way that oil has fueled the industrial economy 2 decades back. Once upon a time, the wealthiest were those with most natural resource. Now it is knowledge economy. And I would not hesitate to say that today I am here because of this knowledge economy. We saw that in 90s, this knowledge industry started, and that's when the IT industry started. The more you know is proportional to more data that you have. Information can be extracted from data just as energy can be extracted from the oil. Traditional oil powered the transportation era in the same way that data as the new oil is also powering the emerging transportation options. Like driverless car we see today. That's the reason we don't call Tesla as a car, we call it as a technology. Hyperloop, which is going about 800 miles an hour. It's all based on the advanced synthesis of data information and how they put it, the algorithm and cognitive knowledge without use of fossil fuel. Traditional oil is finite, friends, but data availability is infinite. Data flows like oil, but we must drill down into the data to extract value out of it. Data promises a plethora of new uses, diagnosis of disease, direction of traffic, patterns, etc. Just as the oil has produced useful plastics, petrochemicals, lubricants, gasoline, and home heating, oil is a scarce resource. Data is not just abundant, it's a cumulative resource. We see that every day we are producing megabytes of data, each individual. If oil is being used, then the same oil cannot be used somewhere else because it's a rival good. This results in natural tension about who controls oil. If data is being used, the same data can be used elsewhere because it's non-rival good. As a tangible product, oil faces high friction, transportation, and storage cost. As an intangible product, data has much lower friction, transportation, and storage cost. Another example, I will compare this data to the oil, that the life cycle of oil is defined by process like extraction, refining, and distribution. Data life cycle is defined by the relationship, how it is related to the other data. What is the context? Without context, data is useless. And with itself, how it relates to itself via feedback loop. So let's talk about the data security more. Data security is the practice of safeguarding digital information from unauthorized access, accidental loss, disclosure and modification, manipulation, corruption throughout the entire life cycle, from creation to destruction. This practice is key to maintaining the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of an organization data, called CIA triad. CIA triad is a strategy which we often use for cybersecurity as well as data security also. Here, confidentiality refers to keeping data private. Integrity means ensuring that data is complete, it does not get lost, or it is trustworthy. And availability is that providing access to the authorized entities only. So, not to confuse with CIA as an intelligence agency, this is also known as AIC triad. If any of these three components is compromised, either availability, integrity, or confidentiality, companies can face reputational and financial damage. This AIC triad is the basis upon which a data security strategy is built. It must encompass policies, technology, control procedures that protect data which is created, collected, how it is stored, received, and transmitted by an enterprise. So as I said, that data is the lifeblood of an organization. Sorry for the... Data is the lifeblood of the organization. It informs decision making, finds solution to problem, improve the efficiency and efficacy of operations, boost customer service and inform marketing efforts, reduce risk, increase productivity, and in the end, it's instrumental in increasing revenue and profit. Data is often referred to as company crown jewels. For something so essential, its protection must be taken seriously. Much like Coca-Cola's secret recipe that is locked away in vault, Hershey's secret lab that concocts its famous kisses, and KFC famous yet unknown 11 herbs and spices. It is crucial to keep certain data from prying eyes. It is not always as easy as putting something under the lock and key, especially in a digital environment today. Multiple employees, stakeholder, partners need access to the data that enterprise value so highly, but more people having access means more chances of things to go wrong. Further dwelling into the data security, that data breaches which occurs when data is accessed in an unauthorized manner as a major concern for organizations of all shapes, sizes, and industries. In fact, 63% of the respondents to a study said that they suffered a data breach or cyber incident. That number is only projected to grow. Data breaches are attributed to a number of cyber incidents, including the following: accidental leak or exposure, phishing attacks, as we often get in our email, distributed denial of service, physical breaches, which is getting less and less because we are moving to the cloud, lack of access control, that's how we manage the rule-based access control, and backdoors. Even the largest and most well-known companies are susceptible to data breaches. Data breaches can result in hefty remediation cost as well as expense stemming from downtime and lost businesses. Regulatory and legal fines may also be levied. In worse scenarios, companies can go bankrupt or out of business. Data security is an important component in data compliance as well. The data compliance, which we call as process that identifies the data governance and establish policies and procedures to protect the data. Data compliance process involves selecting applicable standards and implementing controls to achieve the criteria defined in those standards. Regulatory compliance, which refers to organizations following local, state, federal, international, or industries laws, policies, and regulation, is related to data compliance. Regulatory compliance standards require the use of certain controls and technology to meet the criteria defined to them. There are certain common compliance which we all have heard in different industries. Payment card industry, PCI, data security standard, which is most sensitive because it's all related to our payments. HIPAA, which is another one, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, which is applicable for all the healthcare insurance. And Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002, also known as SOX compliance, is federal law that aims to protect investors from fraudulent financial reporting, and all the financial industries has to make sure that they adhere to this. Recent one which came was the GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, which is based in European Union law that protects the privacy and security of the personal data. And last one I want to talk about is the California Consumer Privacy Act, which is a piece of data privacy legislation that applies to most businesses that process the personal data of California residents. The CCPA gives California residents a certain amount of control over the personal data that businesses collect the data. So it's not just the big industries who has to be prudent about how to protect the data, it's the small businesses as well. Friends, moving further to this, that about the different compliance we just saw before in the previous slide. HIPAA, the example outlined provision for safeguarding the medical information in the US among other mandate, healthcare organization, must adhere to standards for patient data security or else face non-compliance fines and penalties. PCI DCSS, payment card industry, is a global standard for protecting our credit, debit, and cash card transaction data. It sets guidelines for cardholders and data access control and network that process payment information across the globe. Many regulations are subject to the audits during which organization must prove that they adhere to the policies set out in a given regulation. Beyond preventing breaches and complying with the regulations, data security is also important to maintaining customer trust, building relationship, and preserving a good company image. It is also key to sustaining competitive advantage. After all, if everyone had the recipe and the means to make Hershey Kisses, the chocolatier would be out a considerable amount of money. So before we go further into this, we need to organization securing the data, they need to know that what kind of data they have. And that's where the data inventory comes into play. It's a record when the data is created, used, and stored by a company is the key. The process starts with data discovery, with data directory, learning what and where the data is. Data classification follows afterward, discovery, which involves labeling the data to make it easier to manage, store, and secure. The 4 standard data classification we have is public information, confidential information, sensitive information, and personal information. Data is further broken down by businesses using common classification. Labels such as business use only and secret sensitive data is often classified as confidential or secret. It includes 3 types of data: personally identifiable information, PII, which identify a person who is he. It may be your name, your address, your age, date of birth, and then protected health information, PHI information. It may be electronic protected health information, your PCI data, and the intellectual property data. Now, how do we secure this data? There are different tools and technologies available to us. First one is the encryption. Encryption is the process of converting readable plain text into unreadable ciphertext using an encrypted algorithm or cipher. If encrypted data is intercepted, it is useless. It cannot be read or decrypted by everyone who does not have the associated encryption key. There are 2 types of encryption are used in the industry: symmetric and asymmetric encryption. Symmetric encryption, it uses a single secret key for both encryption and decryption. The most common one is the Advanced Encryption Standard, AES, which uses the algorithm in the asymmetric key cryptography. It can be based on 128-bit, 256-bit, or 192-bit. Asymmetric encryption uses 2 interdependent keys. One is public keys to encrypt the data and private key to decrypt the data. One of the common one which we use for our login is RSA. It's known by the developer, their last name Revest, Shamir Edelman. It's a common asymmetric algorithm which is prevalent in the industry. Both symmetric and asymmetric encryption have pros and cons. So combination of the 2 might be the fastest, most secure encryption option. I will talk about the next technique for the data security, which is data masking. Data masking, it involves obscuring the data so that it cannot be read. Masked data looks similar to authentic data set but reveals no sensitive information. Legitimate data is replaced so that masked data maintain the characteristics of the data set, as well as referential integrity across system, thereby ensuring data is realistic, irreversible, and repeatable. Some of the common data masking techniques is like scrambling, using the scrambling algorithm, substituting the value of one with another data, shuffling, data aging, masking a data masking technique that increase or decrease a date field by specific amount. Variance masking is data masking technique that applies a random percentage to a number or date field to hide sensitive information. Last one is nullification masking. It replaces column of data with null values. Use nullification masking to mask binary, date, numeric, or string data. Data masking is useful for software testing. Unlike encryption, encryption makes it completely unreadable, but this makes it readable, and it also used for training and data analysis. The purpose of this is to hide the sensitive information from the testing users. While the end result of encryption and masking are same, both create data that is unreadable if intercepted. But they are quite different because data masking can still relate within each other, and its purpose is different than data encryption. Access control, that's the next data security technology, and that is one of the best way to secure data, is to control who has access to it. It only authorized individual who can view, who can edit, and who can delete the data. It is inherently safer than an access free for all. Access control involves two main processes. Authentications is the process of ensuring user who they are, what they say they are. Authorization is the process of ensuring authenticated users have access to the necessary data and resource. Authentication and authorization are component of an enterprise IAM, identity and access management strategy. Other fundamental IAM processes and techniques include multi-factor authentication, principle of least privileges, access, RBAC, role-based access controlled, and privileged access management, PAM. Also important is following password hygiene, best practices such as setting minimum password lengths, requiring unique password, and considering regular password changes. Using a zero trust security control strategy is growing in popularity these days. What this framework provides is an stringent access control on a continuous basis. It's a model that assumes all the users, devices, and communication are potentially malicious until proven safe. It is based on the idea that every access request should be treated with scrutiny before being granted access. Next technology on the data security is data loss prevention. It's an integral tool for any enterprise security strategy to use the DLP platform. It monitors and analyzes data for anomalies and policy violations. Its many features can include data discovery, data inventory, data classification, analysis of data in motion, at rest, and in use. DLP tools often integrate with other technologies such as CM, security, information, and event management systems to create alerts and automated responses. Another strategy for data loss prevention is data backup, which involves creating copies of the files and databases to a secondary and often tertiary and quaternary location. If the primary data fails, is corrupted or gets stolen, a data backup ensures it can be returned to a previous state rather than the completely lost it. Data backup is essential also for the data registry recovery plans. Resilience is another strategy growing in popularity. The ability of the organization to adapt and recover following a cyber incident equate to how resilient an organization is. Now, there is we have a lot of overlapping between data security, data privacy, and data protection. So I want to take a few minutes to talk about these three different areas. Data security has a broader scope. It's aiming to protect digital information not just from unauthorized access, but also from intentional losses, unintentional loss, and corruptions. While data privacy primarily focuses on confidentiality as a part of CIA triad, data security is equally concerned with information integrity and accessibility. For example, imagine threat actors obtain a confidential file, but encryption successfully prevents them from reading the data. The information itself stays inaccessible and data privacy remains intact in this case. The attackers are still able to corrupt or destroy the illegible file, however, which is a security failure. Data privacy goal is to make sure the way an organization collects, store, and uses sensitive data are responsible and in compliance with the legal regulations. Privacy policies and measures prevent unauthorized parties from accessing data regardless of their motivation. And whether they are internal end users, third-party partners, or external threat actors. Data protection, it must ensure that digital information is backed up and recoverable if it is lost, corrupted, or stolen. Data protection is an important part of larger data security strategy, serving as a last resort if all other measures fails. So here is, I would like to conclude that as more and more organizations are moving to the infrastructure from on-premises to the cloud. So to ensure that implement in strong access controls are there in the cloud, data encryption technologies are implemented, the latest one, and the regular security assessments are done because cloud has more complexity than on-premises because of the different provider of the clouds, how their security posture is, and the components configuration is all different for different types of clouds. Now, there is a increased focus on the AI-driven security, zero trust architecture, and automated incident responses. There are emerging threats, friends, in the cybersecurity, such as IoT vulnerabilities, which we see that growing day by day. Deep fakes, attacks on critical infrastructure, which we saw recently in the news as well. Emerging technologies such as AI and machine learning are reshaping cybersecurity strategies. Data security is critical in cybersecurity. A comprehensive strategy is essential to protect the sensitive information. So that's my conclusion about the data security. And I would like to thank the FutureCon organizer, Kim Hakim, and the other folks who helped me to come and present this, like Heather and Mike, who guided me for this presentation. Thank you, everyone.